Rome must be considered one of the most successful imperial powers in history. You must have heard or read this saying, "Rome is not built in a day." The Roman Empire began as a small town located on the banks of the Tiber River in central Italy. Over time, it grew into a vast empire that included England, parts of Europe, much of Asia, North Africa, and the islands of the Mediterranean. Rome was the superpower whose global dominance ended centuries ago, yet its civilization, such as its philosophy, its words, and the architecture of its buildings, remains admired even today. The 26 alphabet letters and the calendar of 12 months, with 365.25 days, that Rome gave to the Western world are two simple yet great gifts, which are still a part of our daily lives today. Many modern political terms like republic, dictators, senate, and veto are taken from Roman politics. At the highest point of the empire, so many people lived there that every fifth person in the world was Roman. If we add up the time periods of the Roman kingdom, republic, and empire, Rome's power lasted for more than 2,000 years in total. How was this possible? And then how did this superpower fall? And why did it happen? Let's find out in today's video. Rome was founded around 625 BC. In the beginning, it was a small trading center on the banks of the Tiber River, which slowly turned into a city. At that time, this area was called Etruria and Latium. People lived in small villages and probably joined together to protect themselves from invasions, which led to the beginning of Rome. The time period from 600 BC to 510 BC is considered the period of kings of Rome. The interesting thing is that at that time, the decision of becoming king was not made based on family. Kings were chosen by a ruling group called the Senate. During this time period, Rome had a total of 7 kings. The last king on this list was Lucius Tarquinius Superbus, also known as Tarquin the Proud. According to historians, he was a cruel ruler, and then something happened that changed the entire history of Rome. Lucius Superbus's son was accused of forcing himself on a noble woman, Lucretia. This news spread like wildfire in Rome, and protests started everywhere against Lucius Superbus. Finally, the people and the nobles together removed Superbus from power. And with this, in 509 BC, the Republican period of Rome began. A government was now formed in Rome, which was called the Senate. The Senate was divided into 2 sections. One section was called the Patricians, whose members came from rich and powerful families. The other section was the Plebeians, which mostly had representatives of the middle class. Patricians and plebeians together chose 2 leaders, who were called consuls. Generally, most of the power was with the patricians, and they often misused it. Because of this, conflicts were seen many times between them and the plebeians. During the Republic period, Rome grew a lot. By 338 BC, Rome's territory had spread across the entire Italian peninsula. During this growth, many conflicts were also seen. For example, in 390 BC, the neighboring kingdom of the Gauls attacked Rome and caused huge destruction, but Rome rebuilt itself. After this, under the leadership of the military leader Camillus, Rome captured the whole of today's Italy. From 264 BC to 146 BC, Rome once again went into a state of war. This time period is called the Punic Wars. These wars were fought between Rome and Carthage. Carthage was a very powerful city-state located on the northern coast of Africa, in the area around today's Tunisia. In total, 3 Punic Wars were fought. After the first 2 wars, Rome captured the western Mediterranean, which included Spain and the island of Sicily. During this time, Rome also defeated Carthage's legendary general and military expert Hannibal. Between 149 and 146 BC, the Third Punic War was fought, and in it, Rome defeated Carthage very badly. After winning the war, Rome first stole from Carthage a lot. Then the entire city was burned and destroyed. Greek historian Appian writes in his book that in the Third Punic War, about 200,000 people of Carthage were killed, and the 50,000 who survived were made slaves. After this, Rome began its growth towards the east. First, it defeated the Kingdom of Macedonia, which was still a powerful kingdom even 200 years after the death of Alexander the Great. Rome's military victories not only gave it new territories and gold, but the culture and society of these conquered states also deeply influenced Rome. By 100 BC, military power and territorial growth had made Rome a superpower. But as Rome kept growing, its negative impacts also began to appear. Political instability increased, and civil wars began. Leaders who raised their voices for the poor were killed. After that, other leaders became afraid to help the poor. Some leaders used violent methods for political change, but they were also killed. After this, the Republic became very unstable, and civil wars started again. In such situations, dictatorial leaders often take advantage. The same happened here, and Rome got its biggest dictator. The year was 58 BC. Rome made Julius Caesar the governor of a province of Italy and gave him the job to quickly capture the remaining areas of Gaul. Gaul was a Celtic tribe that covered today's France, Belgium, Switzerland, and some parts of Germany. But capturing Gaul was not going to be easy for Caesar, because the Gauls were an independent tribe and did not accept being under anyone's rule. So they chose Vercingetorix as their leader and prepared for war against Caesar. This war is called the Gallic Wars, which started in 58 BC and lasted for the next 6 years. In 52 BC, Caesar surrounded a major city of Gaul, Alesia, for months. The Gauls began to die of hunger, and those who survived were attacked and killed. After winning this battle, it can be said that Caesar won the war. Biographer Plutarch writes that in this war, Caesar and his army fought against 3 million Gauls, killed 1 million of them, and made 1 million slaves. The conquest of Gaul made Caesar very popular in Rome. Caesar's growing popularity and power increased worry in the Senate. Because of this, the Senate ordered Caesar to end his military conquests and return from Gaul. In response, Caesar did something that changed the history of the entire Roman Empire. Caesar refused to follow the Senate's orders. After this, Caesar formed a partnership with 2 other Roman generals, Gnaeus, Pompeius, Magnus, and Marcus Licinius Crassus, which became known as the Triumvirate. The interesting thing is that Pompey was Caesar's son-in-law. The popularity of the Triumvirate grew so much in Rome that these 3 together began to control Roman politics and the story. For some time, everything was going according to plan for Caesar. But then, like every political partnership, problems started in the Triumvirate as well. First, Crassus, seeing Caesar's growing popularity, wanted to do something so that his popularity could also become equal to Caesar's. In this goal, in 53 BC, Crassus started a military campaign against the Parthian Empire, but he lost this battle and was killed. Some sources also say that Crassus was captured and melted gold was poured into his mouth. After Crassus's death, a power struggle began between Caesar and Pompey. To defeat Caesar, Pompey joined hands with the Roman Senate. In return, the Senate got a person to counter Caesar's growing popularity. In 49 BC, despite the Senate's warnings, Caesar moved towards Rome with his army and crossed the Rubicon River. Basically, Caesar wanted to show his power. Because of this extreme action, Caesar's civil war began against the Senate and Pompey. This war continued for 1 year, and finally in 48 BC, Caesar's forces defeated Pompey's army in the Battle of Pharsalus. After that, Pompey had to run away to Egypt, where King Ptolemy had him killed in a tricky way to gain Caesar's support. With this, full control of Rome came into Caesar's hands. Taking advantage of the situation, Caesar declared himself dictator for life of Rome. Caesar's dictatorship over Rome lasted from 49 BC to 44 BC. During these 5 years of Caesar's rule, Rome developed a lot. He brought many changes that helped the poor as well. Public works projects like roads and buildings further increased Caesar's popularity. People began to feel that Caesar had come as a savior for them. He started being followed like a demigod. Although the Senate officially accepted Caesar as dictator, some people in the Senate were against this and wanted to remove dictatorship and make Rome a republic again. This included Caesar's close companions Gaius Cassius Longinus and Marcus Junius Brutus, who felt that Caesar was misusing his powers. Eventually, they, along with some other senators, made a plan to kill Caesar. On March 15, 44 BC, a Senate meeting was going on in which Caesar was also present. Some senators surrounded Caesar on the excuse of showing a petition and suddenly started attacking him with knives. After this, Caesar was stabbed 23 times. In the middle of the attack, Caesar saw Brutus, whom he considered like a son. After that, Caesar said, "Et tu, Brute," meaning, "You too, Brutus," which are considered his last words. The killers thought that by killing Caesar, they would take power into their hands. But Caesar's popularity was so high that all the citizens of Rome stood against the Senate. Caesar's death once again pushed Rome into civil war. Here enters Caesar's grandnephew Octavian, whom Caesar had officially adopted. Octavian formed the Second Triumvirate with Caesar's close friend Mark Antony and Lepidus, and started a war against the Senate. In 42 BC, in the Battle of Philippi, the three defeated the Senate and gained power. After this, control of the Western Roman Empire was given to Octavian. Mark Antony controlled the East, and Lepidus was given North Africa. Later, Octavian pushed aside Lepidus and took all control into his own hands. For some years, Octavian and Mark Antony ruled Rome together, but this partnership also did not last long. When Mark Antony was ruling the Eastern Roman Empire, he became friends with Cleopatra, and soon they fell in love. The interesting thing is that at one time, Cleopatra had a relationship with Caesar as well, and they also had a son. Hearing this, Octavian began to feel that Mark Antony was now planning to increase his power by forming other partnerships. After this, trust problems started between them, and Octavian started spreading rumors against Mark Antony, saying that Mark Antony now wanted to make Cleopatra the Queen of Rome, and that he had forgotten Roman values. Eventually, he declared him a traitor. In response, Mark Antony questioned Octavian's right to rule and said that he had no claim over Rome because he was not Caesar's real son. After this, war started between the two, and after many battles, in 31 BC, the Battle of Actium took place, in which Octavian's naval forces defeated Antony and Cleopatra's fleet. After that, both ran away to Egypt, but Octavian did not leave them there either, and sent his army to surround them for a year. Then in 30 BC, Antony and Cleopatra accepted defeat, and both killed themselves. After this, Octavian was declared the first emperor of Rome, and he took the name Augustus. And with this, the Roman Empire began. Augustus's rule lasted for 41 years, and this time period is called Pax Romana, meaning Roman peace. Before Augustus, Rome was always in some war or political instability, and people were tired of it. Because of this, people liked Augustus's stable rule very much. Augustus was a very capable emperor. He stopped conflicts in his empire, brought many progressive laws, and also focused on architecture. These decisions separate Augustus from other Roman emperors, because when we study history, we see that most Roman emperors were pleasure-loving and not interested in ruling. In 14 AD, Augustus died of natural causes at the age of 75. Even the month of August is named after Augustus. After Augustus, his adopted son Tiberius ruled for 22 years. After Tiberius's death, his adopted son Caligula became emperor, who is known as a mad and cruel emperor. Caligula had many innocent people killed on charges of conspiracy. The entire Senate was angry with this madness. Caligula's rule lasted for 3 years, and then, in 41 AD, one day while Caligula was going through an underground passage for lunch, 2 guards murdered him. However, it was never found out who ordered it. After Caligula's death, his uncle Claudius was declared emperor. Claudius's rule lasted 13 years. It is said that Claudius was very fond of food and spent most of his time in luxury. He had many wives, one of whom was Agrippina, who poisoned him and made her son from outside marriage, Nero, the emperor. Nero's rule is seen as one of the biggest stains on the Roman Empire. In 54 AD, at the age of 16, after becoming emperor, Nero did such things that shocked people. Nero first killed his own mother because she started controlling him too much. After this, he emptied the treasury with wasteful spending, causing a huge money crisis in the kingdom, and anyone who questioned this action was killed. Biographer Suetonius writes about Nero that he did all kinds of evil deeds like inappropriate relationships with family members, animal cruelty, and killing people without reason. Then one day, supposedly, Nero set the whole of Rome on fire and blamed it on the Christians, because at that time Christianity was seen as a threat to the Roman Empire. From this fire incident came a famous quote that people still use for dictators: "Nero fiddled while Rome burned." However, there is no proper evidence or source that Nero did this. Also, the fiddle was invented 1,000 years after Nero's death. So it is hard to believe this story. Whatever the case, Rome did catch fire at that time. There is evidence of it. After this incident, the patience of Rome's leaders was completely over. Taking advantage of the situation, the governor of Spain, Servius Sulpicius Galba, challenged Nero for the throne. Seeing the growing support for Galba, Nero realized that his rule was about to end. To save his life, he ran away from Rome, and after that, the Senate declared Nero an enemy of the state. To avoid capture and the shame of public execution, Nero took his own life at the age of 30. Since Nero had no official heir, the Julio-Claudian dynasty, which had been going on since the time of his great-great-grandfather Augustus, ended with Nero. The next year after Nero's death is known as the Year of the Four Emperors. The year was 69 AD. With the backing of the Senate, Galba was chosen as emperor. But Galba was no less cruel. Galba stopped payments to the Roman army for some time to help his corrupt friends. Because of this, revolt started again in the army. The Roman legion of Lower Germany declared General Aulus Vitellius as their emperor. But before another civil war could begin, Galba's Praetorian Guard killed Galba. This was the second time that an emperor's bodyguards killed their own emperor. General Aulus Vitellius was a major person who could become emperor, but the Senate made one of their own senators, Otho, the emperor, because he was very influential in the Senate. The interesting thing is that Otho was also once a supporter of Galba, but later turned against him. Otho had the image of a peaceful and good leader. As soon as he sat on the throne, he faced the big challenge of dealing with Vitellius and his military. Otho wanted a peace settlement, but Vitellius neither wanted peace nor was he going to give up his goal of becoming emperor. Then a long fight took place between their armies. But Otho's army faced a terrible defeat in the Battle of Bedriacum. Roman historian and senator Cassius Dio wrote that about 4,000 Roman soldiers died on the battlefield that day. When Otho found out, he stopped the war from his side. Historians believe that if he had continued, he could have won. But Otho did not want to put his soldiers' lives in danger, and the shock of thousands of soldiers dying was unbearable for him, so he killed himself. It is very unfortunate that Otho's rule lasted only 3 months, because if he had been given a chance, he could have been a very sensitive and good emperor. While Roman emperors were mostly self-centered and greedy, Otho's name is always taken as an honest emperor. After Otho's death, Vitellius reached Rome with his army. His soldiers first killed and stole from the people of Rome and did not spare women either. Then the Senate surrendered and declared Vitellius emperor. Calling Vitellius a person who does not care about others would not be wrong. He declared himself supreme leader and started ruling like a dictator. Cruelty on common people increased, and it seemed that Rome had entered a dark age. Now Rome needed a savior, and it was about to get one. A part of the Roman army suddenly revolted and declared their commander, Titus Flavius Vespasian, as emperor. A long war followed, and finally Vespasian's army entered Rome. When Vitellius realized that he was losing the war, he tried to escape secretly from the city. But some people caught him and dragged him among the people of Rome, where people spat on him. Then he was brutally tortured and killed, and his body was thrown into the river. On December 22, 69 AD, the Senate declared Vespasian emperor. This was the end of a long period of Roman trouble and the beginning of a new, peaceful and successful Roman Empire known as the Flavian dynasty. During Vespasian's rule, the construction of the Colosseum began, which is still one of the world's biggest tourist attractions. Vespasian was an intelligent and good politician. He restored law and order and took care of both the elite class and common citizens of Rome. He fully restored the power of the Senate and made many changes that focused on public welfare. Vespasian's rule lasted about 10 years, and after his death, his son Titus became emperor, the first biological son of a Roman emperor to take over from his father. After Titus, his brother Domitian became emperor, but he was killed. After this, the time period from 96 AD to 192 AD is called the Era of the Good Emperors. In this period, Trajan was considered the best emperor by his people. During this time, Rome became a city of 1 million people, and the empire's area reached the highest point in its history. Rome connected new areas through roads. This system still defines Europe's transport map today. After Trajan's rule, Emperor Hadrian strengthened defenses, built large forts in Britain, and built the Pantheon in Rome. Inside the Pantheon, Hadrian also had paintings made of his lover Antinous, which can still be seen today. The last good emperor, the philosopher Marcus Aurelius, spent most of his time in military conquests. Between battles, he wrote the document of his Stoic philosophy, Meditations. After Marcus Aurelius, under his son Commodus, Pax Romana finally ended. Commodus liked gladiator fights more than ruling. Eventually, some of Commodus's enemies had him strangled by a fighter and slave named Narcissus. After this, Rome again fell into chaos. For the next 100 years, the Roman Empire remained very unstable. During this time period, more than 25 emperors came, and almost all of them were killed. Once, the Praetorian Guard killed the emperor and auctioned the job of the next emperor. There were many emperors whose rule lasted only a few days or weeks. The exact length of some reigns is still uncertain, but the record for the shortest reign belongs to Gordian II, which was about 22 days. In 285 AD, Diocletian, who was the emperor at that time, divided the Roman Empire into western and eastern parts to manage it properly. Then he created a system in which one emperor ruled the west and the other ruled the east, and both were called Augustus. Under both of them were deputy emperors who were given the title Caesar. Therefore, this time period is called the Tetrarchy. Then in 305 AD, Diocletian did a very rare thing. He gave up the throne himself and became the first Roman emperor to do so. After this, Diocletian's co-ruler and Western Empire Emperor Maximian also retired. After that, Constantine, the son of the Western Empire's Caesar, was made emperor of the Western Empire and was given both the titles of Augustus and Caesar. But Maximian's son, Maxentius, demanded that he be given the title of Caesar. After this, war started between Constantine and Maxentius. In this war, Constantine won and Maxentius was killed. After winning the war, Constantine accepted Christianity and made it the official religion of his empire. Constantine's rule lasted till 337 AD, and after his death, a power struggle began between his three sons, but none could hold the throne for long. After this, in 363 AD, the Valentinian dynasty came, which had power struggles, killings, and unstable rule. In 392 AD, after the death of Western Emperor Valentinian II, Eastern Emperor Theodosius united both empires again. But this united Roman Empire did not last long. A few years after Theodosius's death, his two sons, Arcadius and Honorius made the final division of Rome. Under Arcadius was the East, which later became the Byzantine Empire, and under Honorius was the West, which was soon going to end. Slowly, the Greek-speaking Byzantine Empire became rich, while the Latin-speaking Western Empire fell into a money crisis. The wealth of the Byzantine Empire strengthened its walls and defenses. When invaders saw the strength of Constantinople and the weakness of Rome, it seemed easier to attack the West. During this time, a Germanic tribe, the Goths, repeatedly attacked the Western Roman Empire. Another tribe, the Vandals, burned everything to ashes in 455 AD. By 476 AD, the Western Roman Empire was completely destroyed. Perhaps an interesting fact is that the last emperor of Rome was named Romulus, which was also the name of Rome's first king. After losing to a Germanic general Odoacer, Romulus was sent into exile and spent the rest of his life in exile. And this is how the Roman Empire ended. If you liked this video, please subscribe to the channel. Making such videos takes a lot of hard work and time, so your support is very important for our motivation.